St. Thomas University Journalism and the New Brunswick Beacon present The Basement Files.
Hi there. Welcome to this week's edition of The Basement Files. I'm Brandon Ramey.
And I'm Kate Olton. And joining us later, we have Yi Fan and Lori Maserol.
Coming up, Alex Corbett gives us a better understanding of our solar system and lights our way beyond the naked eye.
And Fredericton's York Arena closes its doors in hopes to preserve Fredericton's history.
Scientists are thrilled at the opportunity to look at the building blocks of the universe. From space to small-town Fredericton, the Philae lander has experts' curiosity. Alex Corbett reports.
The European Space Agency made history this Wednesday when they confirmed that their lander had successfully touched down on the 67P CG comet. The landing was all part of a 10-year mission to better understand the origins of the universe. Julie McDonald believes the comet plays a very important role in our history.
Well, comets are considered to be the oldest bodies in the solar system. They can get samples of the gases that are coming off the comet and the dust grains that are coming off as well. And just analyzing those may tell us a little bit about what our solar system is made of. Also, how life may have occurred on Earth, developed on Earth.
There wasn't much wiggle room when it came to landing the craft on a 2.5-mile wide target, 317 million miles away. Upon its initial landing, the craft almost bounced back into space. Luckily, the comet's gravity pulled it back down. The lander is equipped with a camera and a special drill designed to extract samples from the comet's surface, which experts believe contains the same particles created in the Big Bang. K.O. Stewart is in charge of the planetarium display at the Science East, an educational center in Fredericton. He's been incorporating the Philae mission into his educational program.
What's going on right now as far as real time, the sort of science and things that we're using to explore things that we've never explored before. We're basically using science and math to pioneer outer space. And so that's really cool, and that's what makes astronomy exciting.
Using solar panels to power its battery, the Philae lander was successfully transmitting data to the scientists in Germany until Friday, when the lines went cold. Scientists say the haphazard landing caused the craft to dock itself in the shadows of a crater's edge, with only an hour's worth of sunlight each day. Without adequate sun, the lander's battery can't function. In an effort to solve the problem, controllers rotated the lander 35 degrees to better position it towards the sun. Even after this, the lander's power was still dwindling, so the decision was made to shut down all instruments on the craft. Experts say the comet's orbit will be closer to the sun by August 2015, and the Philae lander will hopefully come back to life. For Stu Journalism, I'm Alex Corbett.
The York Arena is closed for the first time since it opened in 1947. The 67-year-old arena is being renovated so that it can remain a part of the Devon community. Kenya Marceline has the story.
The doors to York Arena are locked and will remain closed until October 2015. City Councilor Kate Rogers notes that the upgrades are necessary.
Yes, those updates are necessary. They're essential. For instance, we're not even opening the arena this year because it's really not in a state that it should be used. We uncovered that when we went to identify what it was actually going to cost to bring it up to an appropriate standard.
The other 5 ice surfaces in Fredericton are open for the season, but don't bring the same heritage as the York Arena.
So some it was an attachment to the building. Once the final price tag came out, then there were a couple of us that wondered if the nostalgia was worth it, while other councillors, determined that we did need the 6 sheet of ice. But I think that part of the appeal was having that 6 sheet there in a space that has an important place in the history of Devon.
The $3.1 million project means the city is down 1 ice surface and less preferred practice times are being used. With York Arena closed for the season, hockey teams will have to make adjustments to their schedule. For Stu Journalism, I'm Kenya Marceline.
This Remembrance Day had many Canadians concerned after soldiers and veterans contacted CBC News to question the status of a soldier who spoke on TV. Frank Gervais is facing 4 charges of impersonating a soldier during a Remembrance Day service at the National War Memorial in Ottawa. Gervais is from Cantley, Quebec, and was arrested, charged, and released on Saturday by Ottawa police. He is now scheduled to appear in court on December 9th. The investigation is ongoing. Fredericton City Council recently loosened laws allowing more city-owned properties to sell alcohol. Oscar Baker III spoke to some business owners downtown who don't agree with the new laws.
Local bar owners are facing new competition with the rules changing in the city. City Councilor Scott McGonigal helped loosen the rules on where alcohol can be sold on city-owned property. The city is hoping to hold more functions with the new rules.
We've had, rules in for alcohol for certain buildings in the city for quite a number of years. And I think the idea was it was time that staff looked at it and thought it was time to modernize our approach to the use of alcohol in our in-city buildings.
McGonigal said the publicly owned properties would sell alcohol on a tier system. Tier 1 would include the Fredericton Public Library and the Grant Harvey Center. They could sell alcohol with a permit, but people could only drink in specific areas in those places. Tier 2 includes places like ballparks, and they would need permission from city staff. Tier 3 needs approval from the city council. Natalie Hartford, Communications Secretary for the Fredericton MAD chapter, sees no problem with more places in the city selling alcohol as long as the rules are still being followed.
So as far as we're concerned, if the city's considering loosening the rules, as long as they've considered how the rules and regulations of alcohol service are going to be adhered to and enforced in these other locations, we don't really see it as an issue.
We'll pour more if you need more. We have lots.
Doug Williams co-owns and operates the King Street Ale House and Brewbakers. He's worried with more places selling liquor means more competition.
There probably are times where people would do events at a city-owned venue as opposed to doing their event at one of my venues. That probably is going to happen. With every time there's more competition in the marketplace, it does spread the business around a bit. So yeah, there is a risk of competition from it.
Williams said his business hosts about 3 functions a week that could pull in anywhere from $400 to $8,000. Williams was adamant he generally agrees with City Council and said they're all great, but Williams said that they're wrong on this one.
I pay tens of thousands of dollars a year in property taxes, which goes to the city of Fredericton, and I don't believe the city of Fredericton should take my property tax money and compete with me.
The changes in laws may not be seen until the springtime. Owners like Williams will have to wait and see if the added competition will take a drink out of their profits. For Stu Journalism, I'm Oscar Baker III.
Picaroon's Traditional Ales have become one of 2 companies in Canada to receive the B Corp certification, an honor which only 1,000 companies worldwide have received. Tyson Hovey explains what this means for the company and their customers.
Picaroon's Traditional Ales became a certified B Corporation last Friday. This distinction is supposed to award companies for their dedication to operating a quality business. The Fredericton Company is the 2nd brewery in Canada to receive this distinction and just the 5th in the world. Kyle McNevin is a Picaroon's employee and was the driving force behind the company becoming B certified. McNevin says the brewery deserves this high distinction.
We do a lot for the community as well. So one of the principal things of Picaroon's that you'll recognize is that we're trying to develop an industry where specifically for microbrewery and craft beer.
The process Picaroon's went through to qualify for the certification took around 7 months, but McNevin said Picaroon's had to change little to meet the standard.
We could have got it done a lot quicker, but in terms of us having to change any huge part of what we do already, no. We were certified. We had a very high certification standard and rate going into it, so we were pretty lucky to have the foundation set in place at the company before becoming certified.
Not all hold this opinion. Chris Brooks has brewed beer since he was a teenager and is now a beer columnist. Brooks says although Picaroon's brews a fair beer, they've never been pushed beyond their comfort zone.
Picaroon's does have great beer, but there's no one here to tell them to do anything different or to push them to do. It's just the guys that work there. They're just like, hey, we should try this. But people around here only experience Picaroon's for local brewery, basically, and so they're all, it's better than buying a case of Budweiser at the store.
However, Brooks says it's good that Picaroon's has become B certified.
They did take the initiative to go ahead. Nobody was telling them they had to do this, so they did go ahead and say, we're going to pursue this B Corporation status, and they're doing the things necessary in order to gain that status, and so that was great on their part.
The certification will help Picaroon's reach out to other local businesses while they continue to support the Fredericton community. For Stu Journalism, I'm Tyson Hovey.
The Fredericton SPCA held their 7th annual Pet Expo at the Fredericton Exhibition Grounds this past weekend. It's a great fundraiser, and they raise lots of money for their furry little friends. Many booths line the exhibition center this weekend, all selling something a little different. Some with animal treats, others with baked goods, and even a couple with some stylish animal clothing. There were cat demos, grooming demos, dog demos, and canine agility obstacles. Plenty of friendly pets made their way around the building, playing with each other and giving the children lots of furry love. There were dogs, ferrets, cats, and rats at the expo, all raising money for the SPCA and their day-to-day operations. It is unknown at this time how much money was raised, but the event organizers say they are happy with the outcome, adding that they look forward to the 8th Expo.
Birders were delighted this week by the recent sighting of a painted bunting in the Acadian Peninsula. Related to the more common indigo bunting, the painted bunting was described by birder Elaine Clavette as something out of a children's coloring book. The male sports a fusion of red, blue, yellow, and green and is easily distinguishable from the more drab females. The painted bunting is usually found in Florida or Louisiana this time of year, and New Brunswick sightings occur only a few times every 3 to 5 years.
Museums are common in bigger cities, but there's only one human rights museum in the world, and it just opened in Winnipeg. One of the new directors came to speak at Human Rights Lecture in Fredericton. He suggests that while Canadians are known internationally for supporting human rights process, we still have a lot of work to do. Stephanie Seward has a story.
The first Museum of Human Rights has opened in Winnipeg this year. The new head of stakeholder relations came to Fredericton to answer questions. Those who attended the lecture were curious to know what exhibits were available at the museum. Clint Curl noted that even Canadians, known globally as peacekeepers, need to be educated in human rights.
And stories. How do you possibly say yes to one and no to another?
I think why now? I think there's a growing concern around the world that human rights are not being respected, and one of the responses to that is a desire to see more education.
Mike Camo is a human rights professor at St. Thomas University.
Been really helpful in basic human rights education, getting people thinking and talking about what are human rights and why would we want to have a museum of human rights, but then getting really into challenging questions like how do we see as Canadians our relationship with our First Nations people, and how would we want to present that in a Canadian Museum for Human Rights.
The museum will have an exhibit dedicated to human rights as seen through the eyes of Canadians.
Some pundits in today's media say that human rights is not an issue anymore. Clearly, with museums opening up like this around Canada and around the world, it is. For Stu Journalism, I'm Stephanie Sirois.
Want to bring your Lego building skills to the next level? Science East gives children and their parents the chance to build Lego robots. Emma Chappell has more.
Families rocked out on Saturday at Science East. Kids and parents built their own electric guitars out of Lego as part of the center's Robo Families program. The small room was packed with higher than usual attendance. Many families were trying something new.
We've never come before. So far, we've been here for 10 minutes, but...
Groups used a special computer program to make their music. Workshop leader Kyo Stewart says it's a learning experience for all ages.
So all of those are just to help you along.
It's kind of a two-sided thing where they're kind of working together to build the robot in the end and things. And a lot of times it's something where the children, most of the time, have more experience with Lego and all of that kind of, like that side of it. And so you get a lot of students, or children, I guess, kind of, you know, working, doing better than the adults at first and things, and kind of showing them how it's done. So.
At Science East, you're never too young or too old to learn something new. For Stu Journalism, this is Emma Chappell.
Many people who were children in the 90s remember Sailor Moon. Fans of the show now have the opportunity to experience their childhood all over again, but with new perspective. Jenna Wright has a story.
Sailor Moon is a well-remembered cartoon from the 1990s. The series is about a group of galactic warriors called the Sailor Scouts who protect the universe from forces of evil using the powers of truth and love, as well as some iconic power wands. If you ask any 20-something about it now, they will be able to tell you at least something about the series. Some former 90s kids hold on to the memories tighter than others, and remained Sailor Moon fans throughout the years. Those fans are rejoicing at the release of a new animation called Sailor Moon Crystal, which is a reboot of the original and is more closely related to the comics that the hero originates from. Monica Corbett is a longtime fan of Sailor Moon. Over the past decade and a half, she has found herself returning to the series again and again. It's true that she may no longer fit the original demographic for the series, but she finds the show exciting and empowering, even after all these years.
It is for girls and it is for feminists, and it's sort of an expression about how you don't have to lose your femininity to be strong and to be courageous and to save the day. And saving the day isn't always about being the person who hits the hardest. Sometimes it's about being the person who's willing to open up their heart and accept that maybe you aren't that different from each other.
Those ideas still ring true today, nearly 2 decades after the show's initial release. Having a character like Sailor Moon for both young girls and young boys to look up to, and to learn the different kinds of strength, as well as the importance of truth, justice, understanding, and love, is wonderful. In the name of the moon and for St. Thomas Journalism, I'm Jenna Wright.
You think the freezing winter of Fredericton is already here? While some people are letting passionate punk music heat them up. Several emerging bands gathered a mini music festival during the weekend. Katrina Wren has the story.
Music, communications, and drinks. That's how some music fans spent this past weekend. On November 14th and 15th, the Charlotte Street Art Center hosted a New Brunswick Musicians Emerge Festival that invited bands across the province to play their works. This is the 4th year for the Art Center to have this annual event. This year, organizers received over 70 groups applied to perform. They said it was hard to make decisions with the limited 8 seats. Lisa Rose is the co-organizer of this event.
Where they not only play, but they come and take workshops and learn and build a community. And then we also give prizes that in some way, it's not just $500 that you go and probably spend on your rent, which is good, it's important to pay your rent, but the prizes are all tools to furthering their musical career.
The festival set up workshops for participants. They were able to discuss professional problems and learn things from peers and well-known guest musicians. During the 2-day festival, committee broke up all bands and asked players to form temporary groups with those from other teams. They had to create a new piece of music in the afternoon and present them that night. Reagans is a 3-year band from St. John. They brought a great show on Saturday.
It's really important to have some sort of melting pot and stick all those people together and, learn from each other. Hear different styles, see different methods of presentation.
The festival provided not only food and hotel, but also the chances to improve as professions, the access to financial aids, and the opportunity to make albums to those emerging artists. For Stu Journalism, I'm Katrina.
Thousands of children in Zambia have no chance to go to school. Hundreds of African school projects are looking for volunteers around the world to raise money for their school. In Fredericton, a Stu graduate is helping Zambia children to access education. Sarah Press has more on it.
The Treaty School project's main goal is to build a school for children who come from low-income families in Zambia. It's been open since 2012, thanks to the donations of the non-governmental organization Friends for Zambia, led by a group of volunteers in Canada. Among those, retired teacher Patricia Ellsworth helped to raise money for the school in the last 6 years.
So the first acceptance of the idea was the parish council. They said yes, that they would help me, they'd allow me to use, for instance, during the time I was working with them, I went to all the catechism classes and the kids all collected money in jars and we had bake sales. And so my approach was that grassroots.
Ellsworth first went to Zambia after she graduated from STU as an inexperienced teacher for 2 years. She said the experience changed her life.
The experience of working with the students, it made me want to continue in education very much. I wanted to teach. I loved it. I loved the interplay with the students and arguing about points of grammar and I don't know, I really liked that part.
After working in Africa, she came back to Canada and worked as a high school teacher for 30 years. Once she retired, she received an award for excellence in teaching. Simon Maonde was the first coordinator she had in Africa. He sent her a letter asking for help to build a Tweety school in 2008. She immediately said yes.
Simon Maonde was the headmaster, and from him I learned a great deal about how to be a teacher.
Now she works with other volunteers to keep raising money and coordinating the construction of the Tweety school. She's planning to travel back to Africa this summer. For Stu Journalism, I'm Sarah Perez.
Thank you, Canada! Many local restaurant owners are not happy with restriction on food trucks. Business owners are being asked to present a restaurant license and must have a permanent parking spot in downtown Fredericton in order to sell their products on the road. Food trucks are only welcomed on Queen Street during Canada Day and Harvest Jazz and Blues festivals. Many food truck business owners argued that twice a year is not enough for a business to survive.
As the Christmas shopping season looms, downtown businesses are doing their best to try to combat cross-border shopping. Downtown Fredericton Inc. is looking to bolster sales to keep people from spending money outside the province. Connor J. has more.
Downtown Fredericton is home to over 30 restaurants and shops, most of which are locally owned. As Christmas looms, store owners are hoping to keep shoppers spending money in their stores. Bruce McCormick, the general manager of Downtown Fredericton Incorporated, says they're doing all they can to bring business downtown.
This is a big time of year for downtown Fredericton. We're putting out all the Christmas decorations starting first thing tomorrow. We have Christmas wreaths and banners that we put up. So we decorate the downtown a little bit to get everybody in the festive season.
Downtown Fredericton recently hosted a Downtown Dollars sale, where shoppers could get a discount on a special currency to spend this holiday season. They sold over $30,000 worth within 45 minutes.
And that's what's kind of special. It's outdoors, it is a little cold, but it's that tradition that really makes a downtown special.
Eric Nielsen is a shop owner downtown. He owns Peter Roberts for Men on York Street.
Really the effect that is the most successful are the windows that we have in the front of the store to draw interest and attention in, so that the products capture the attention of the customer.
Peter Roberts for Men has been open for more than 25 years, and Nielsen says it's because of the special treatment each customer gets.
Because we take the time to really get the right product on the right person to begin with. So it's a little more hands-on, a little less about impulse items that you might see, and more about something unique.
With more shoppers coming downtown to spend their money, that ensures that the money stays in New Brunswick, as most of the shops downtown are independently owned. For Stu Journalism, I'm Connor J.
That wraps up our stories for this week on Basement Files.
Be sure to join us next time for the latest stories.
In the meantime, check out nbbeacon.ca for more Stu Journalism. Thanks for watching, and for Stu Journalism, I'm Brandon Ramey.
I'm Kate Olton.
I'm Ethan.
And I'm Laurie Mazerol.
Come,